my name is Katja Cook, and I'm with Tecla Finland, and I will talk to you about the integrated solution of VICO Office. So obviously we spend a lot of time talking about 3D. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, so now we're going to look into how we can use this 3D model to do cost and scheduling as well. So first we'll just talk a little bit about Trimble, which basically owns VICO and Tecla. It's a very big company in the US. They are actually mainly known in Europe as hardware provider. They have a lot of hardware, and in the recent years they have bought a lot of software. So they have heavy civil, they have agriculture, they have surveying, GPS devices. So now they're trying to combine the office and field for construction, and they're really trying to focus on capturing the data on the field and bringing that to the office and to the job site so that there's some benefit from having the 3D models and all this data. So we will be concentrating on the building side of Trimble. About VICO Office, it's probably not a very well-known software yet over here. It's actually originally developed in Finland, and we have many large companies that use that in Scandinavia as well as in the US. And we talk about the solution scope. How much do we do? We actually cover a lot of ground. So if you're talking about basically bringing us VICO Office into the business development, we can start from high-end cost estimation and work all the way to cost control and be the link to project accounting. So we can basically replace 5 to 15 different software. And the nice thing about VICO Office is that everything is integrated. So if you bring in a new 3D model, our cost and schedule is automatically updated because everything is integrated, since we get all of the quantities from the 3D model. So we have constructability analysis, quantity takeoff, cost estimation, scheduling, and we can even link to field devices like Trimble Total Station. And then I think one of our best features is production control, and actually making sure that the schedule that you did is going to be the schedule you finish with. So you're controlling constantly the schedule to stay on course. You're steering the ship before it even hits a rock or anything bad happens. And so there's a lot of data, and we always want to make sure that it's available and also on time, and it's actual, and everything is integrated, and different areas in the office or in field can use different parts of VICO Office. I'll talk a little bit about how to combine VICO and Tecla as well, since Trimble's strategy in the long run is to obviously integrate a lot of their software and hardware. We can also already work with VICO and Tecla. We can bring in the 3D model from Tecla, and then we extract quantities from the Tecla model. We create locations for location-based scheduling, which we'll talk more about in a minute. And we then link that information to cost as well. And we create tasks to make a schedule, and then we can even visualize it in 4D. And then we kind of combine forces with Tecla. Then after that, we can do the general scheduling and controlling. And in Tecla, you go into the object-based, you go into the weekly installation order. So you use Tecla in the specific way that it's meant to do. VICO Office is more for everybody's tool. And we go into the general level of things. So let's go see how a lot of it, or how this works. So here we have a Tecla model, and that's basically exported to VICO Office. In VICO Office, you can also use ArchiCAD, Revit, or IFC. So you don't have to have a Tecla model to use VICO Office. So after it's sent to VICO Office to the specific project that you want to, It's opened in there, and we start extracting quantities from the model. And also, one of the best tools, I think, in VICO Office is something that we just spoke about, is basically how do you detect change? So managing change is something that I think VICO does very well, and it's a handy tool. You can also bring PDFs to the document controller, and you can visually just use a slider and see these differences, and try to do this on a piece of paper. It's a little bit more difficult. So you can just mark it with a cloud, and it will automatically take a snapshot and create an issue out of it. And then you can come back to it later and see that, okay, was that approved? Is it in cost? Has it been scheduled? So this is a great way to manage change and use as a collaborative tool. In addition to this, you can compare 3D models. So if you have two versions of a 3D model, you can use different modes to visually check. This is a great tool, again, in a weekly meeting, explaining change to an owner or a person who might not understand anything about drawings. Here you can see in different colors. Red means something was deleted, green is changed, green is new, yellow is changed. And again, this all can be, you can take a screenshot out of it and create an issue out of this. So this is a data bank for all of your PDFs, 2D documentation and 3D models for that project. And again, you create an issue out of this, and it will be in the issue list, and you can come back to it later and make sure that this is taken care of. And just a quick screenshot about if you created an issue, you can assign it to a person. You can even create a little chat or discussion saying, okay, Mike, did you check this? Yes, this is approved. So you have little timestamps to see how something was handled or if something was taken care of. So after you basically check the different versions of models or PDFs, then we want to start extracting those quantities from the models. So the elements we get from the model, they provide us the geometry we need to calculate the quantities. We just don't, for slab-on grade, for example, we're just not counting that there's one. We want to know how many square meters, how many cubic meters. We want everything that we can calculate from that specific element. And we link that data into our cost plan. And this costing data is something that you can have as a reference project, basically, where you can have a recipe database how to make something. Because at VICO, we try to find those things that you can actually reuse on most projects you have, because a large part of what you do every time you bid a job is basically you're doing the same things. Every job has a substructure, it has walls, so we're trying to reuse that information that we used last time, so you can create a cost database that you can basically use to link to those quantities from the model. In the next screenshot, you can see how it's done. So if if I have highlighted the foundations over there, it will show in the model what has been linked to the foundations, and you can see those items over there. Those are different elements that are linked to model and also to the cost plan. And you can see what kind of quantities are linked. So there's, this is cubic feet and square feet. Those are the items that we're using to drive this cost plan. So one of the other features that I know a lot of owners and people who like to see what kind of differences are in different models or cost versions. Because in VICO Office, you can do multiple cost versions. You can bring in another model and create another version. So then you could compare and see which one of those model versions is more expensive, or you can compare it against your budget. So we have a little, basically, a green light, red light thing going on here. So basically, this is just like a tree structure. You can go, you have the whole project. There's something in yellow. Let's go see, there's something in the shell of the project that is telling us that we're over budget. Yellow is not really that bad yet, but let's continue. If it's red, you know that you're over budget. So you can go continue, and you can see that there's something in the exterior, and you can go to the specific item basically and pinpoint that line that is causing you to be over budget. So again, this is a great visual tool, but also you can see the numbers. You can see that, okay, the exterior metal walls were causing this for you to be over budget, or this version to be more expensive. So this is a tool to dig into those differences. And I think one of the great features, again, in VICO Office is reporting. We have a reporting engine that you can basically do any kind of reports you want. Over here, we just have a sample report where you can compare two different versions of a cost plan. So you can run this in PDF or take this out to Excel. So you can hand this out to anybody and say that, okay, these are the quantity differences, these are the price differences. Red again is, over budget, and again, sky's the limit with our reporting. And that's just some examples that you can do with our reporting engine. So now that we've kind of looked at the models, we've detected some change, we've linked those models into our cost plan. So next step would be to go to do some scheduling. In Finland and Sweden for many years, location-based scheduling is basically the standard. Is location-based scheduling or flow line scheduling familiar to anybody? No? Okay. Well, I guess I don't believe. Okay, nobody knows flow line scheduling or location-based scheduling. No?
In the universities?
No? Okay. Well, then I better explain. That's actually location-based schedule planning is not a new idea. It was actually used to build Imperial State Building. For some reason, it was kind of forgotten for many years, and the idea is to, cut up your project instead of just thinking it's a big box into sections, to areas, to zones. And the idea there is to create work that is continuous and flowing instead of just having little jobs here and there and stops and starts, which seem to happen a lot on a job site, I've heard. So just to show you on a little video to visualize it more. So here we have, just basically you would have on a MS project, you have a calendar, but then on the other side, we have locations there. We have building A and B building section floors, and then we have dates there. So we have lines for tasks, just like on MS Project, but you can see that they're on an angle. So you can see that on building first floor on February 8th, there's work happening. And you can see right away that there's waste happening. There's stops and starts, and again, there's waste happening, because we want those lines to be as close as possible, but give them a little buffer in case there's some delay. So we want to ensure that most locations have work happening all the time. And this actually has been proven that when you use location-based scheduling, you can take out 10 to 20% from your schedule duration. And that is due to the fact that we're trying to find those locations that you can do work in, you can bring in crews. On each location, we only want to have one crew working, because if somebody's installing windows and somebody is doing floors, it might be a problem in a location. So just to show you a little couple screenshots of it, let's say that you have locations. You're just doing a frame, one floor at a time. So you're just having these little jobs here and there on each location. So let's say that we're just trying to do to frame up one section at a time. So we're trying to make the framework continuous and move from a location to location smoothly and without stops and starts. And that basically makes it so that we can have the next job start earlier, because we make the previous work or task go faster and smoother. And then let's look how we can then do those locations in VICO Office. So basically, we want to cut up the model. Well, we're not actually really destroying the model, but we're visually, at least, cutting some lines into it. You can see that we have different floors here. We can bring those from a model itself. You can, in VICO Office, you can obviously look into the model as you would in Tecla or not any other 3D software. But in here, we're isolating then the foundation. So now we want to cut that slab or the foundation into a couple pieces so that we can have tasks in different locations. So basically, we're just drawing lines here, these zones. And when basically we push enter, it will calculate how much of that slab or how many piles are in those locations and how many square meters or cubic yards of concrete is in those locations. So then we have quantities per location, and that is something we need for location-based scheduling. And purchasing as well. Good point, yes. So now that we've cut up the model, we can also see those elements, and we can see in these different zones that how much of what element, the slab, we have 75 its surface area in that location. The other one, so you can right away see how much material you need to order for that specific area that you're working on. And also it will help you get enough crews there because you know how much work you will be doing in that location. The general idea a lot of times when you're cutting up locations is to have work there for 2 weeks. But of course, if you are doing foundations, you might want to have 3 locations, but if you're doing finishing work, maybe you want to have 10 locations, and it's possible to do in VICO Office, different locations for different kind of tasks. So again, we have locations, we have quantities, and what do we need these for? We need these to have an intelligent task and duration. So, because that is basically what we want. We need certain kind of information to know how long our schedule is going to be. We need to know what resources we have, the quantity, we get that from the model, the consumption, how many units per hour we can install something, and how many resources we have, how many men we can have on a job site, and how many hours per day they work. So if you have more resources on the site, more hours, or more quantities, or the consumption is different, then VICO Office calculates the new duration for that task. So that's why we think it's intelligent, because if any of these variables change, so does our schedule, and then you can work with it again. And so does this make sense? Okay. So let's go then to some other little videos. So just to show you how this is created in VICO Office. So over here we have the blue one. I'm not sure if you can see in the back. It's the cost plan. And then we start creating tasks here, and we're starting to link those cost line items which have the quantities from the model into these tasks. So we're loading the information that, how much and the locations in there already because it's cut up. And VICO will start creating these tasks. And also we have the Gantt chart available if you like that. In some places it's a good tool. So it's possible to see your schedules in the traditional Gantt chart as well. So both schedules start drawing lines. And the big difference again in VICO that we have the location in this flow line schedule on the left. So after we have done all of these little tasks here, you can see that they all start at the same time, which is probably not a good idea because we were talking about that we want to have one task in one location. Now we have 10. So the next logical thing would be to do some kind of dependencies on these tasks. So that's easily done just by dragging different tasks on top of each other, and it will make a start to finish dependencies. And you can see how it affects our schedule. So if the first task is late, it will push the rest of the tasks to be late. And this, you can see the same thing here, but you can't see in the Gantt chart that this is a bad schedule because there's lines there again. It's a waste of time. So now again, we can force it to be a faster task, and now it's telling that instead of one resource, we want 4 it to finish at that time. So now we're trying to align all of these tasks to the same speed. So some might have less resources, some more, but at least they're all going through the locations at a similar speed. And now we've compressed those to be pretty close, but we want to give them a little buffer in case something's wrong. And we are still way ahead of our previous schedule. And this is, again, something that you cannot see in the Gantt chart. Yeah, and again, when you save, surprisingly, in construction also, money is important. And and you can also see the resource charts in VICO Office. And here, as a little bonus, we have the 4D. So you can play this on a weekly meeting or to the owner or anybody who needs to know, is that how you're planning to do this on location by location. So again, nice visual tool for people who might not understand much about construction. And you can also do the simulation with basically the schedule that you already have. You can do actual simulation, and we'll jump that to that next. So after we've created a nice schedule, and as we all know, it rarely is your final schedule. So now we're going to start the construction, and we'll see how well we keep up with the schedule. And oftentimes we have little hiccups, and the job is not going as well as we thought. So now we're marking for each location. Okay, that's finished, that's 23% finished, or that's 2,000 square meters there. And it's going to start putting these little dotted lines here. It's showing us what the actual speed is. And you can see in the second task already at the bottom, we're late. And now these other lines, they're predicting that when we're going to finish based on the production speed that we've had. So we can see right away after a week or two that we're basically in trouble. Now we can tell VICO Office that, okay, now we've had 1 resource on these. What happens if we bring in 2 resources? So now VICO is going to calculate again, and then we have corrected the problem. Now we're close to the similar or where we want it to be. So the idea is that you're kind of steering the ship all the time to make sure that you don't find out 2 weeks before you're supposed to finish the job that now we're 3 months late. So this is something that you should do once or twice a week, and VICO will then calculate the duration for you. And so we're almost done here, hopefully not too much information. But this is just basically video from the live software. Again, when you start putting the actuals, it will start drawing the actual lines here. And then you can always tell, okay, when it stopped, when it started, how much was done. And then we're going to be able to see that, okay, now we're late. What can we do now? In VICO Office, you can also see what are the best options. For example, if you don't have enough crews there, maybe you can do 10, 12-hour days, so you can see these what-if scenarios that what can be done to it. What if you bring in 2 crews, or what if you work weekends, or if somehow you can affect the production factor. And all of these are ways to control or speed up or slow down your schedule. And these little red dots here, they're also warnings where they show you that you have these little issues where these tasks will clash with another task. And this is where we can go and see what are the controlling options we have. So now again, we forced it to have 4 resources, and miraculously it fixed the schedule again. And again, you can bring a lot of reports out of it. You can do, reports for materials. You can align your resources, because that's one of the other great benefits of VICO Office is that you can level your resources, so you don't have in one day 35 electricians, which might be hard to get. Maybe you can align them so that you need, 8 every day for a period of time. So you're trying to basically take out the risk and help with decisions in VICO Office. And I think that's one of the great, benefits of VICO Office to, help you with those difficult decisions and basically reduce risk and hopefully save money as well. And let's jump back then into the Tecla track. So now that we've done all of this in VICO Office, we've looked at the model, done the quantities, we've done costing, scheduling, and controlling. Now, Sampo, my colleague, is going to show you guys how to continue from here and take that schedule into deeper level with Tecla CM.
And of course on site, it's happening on site.
Yes, exactly. So any questions or answers if you have them?
Interesting presentations. There should be questions. Okay.
Okay.
No
so at least now you can say that you know what location-based scheduling is. So next time I come, I better see some hands. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.